Good Thursday morning. It's Thursday, September 3rd, 2020. I'm Guy McPherson of GuyMcPherson.com, otherwise known as Nature Bats Last. And I'm going to provide a few headlines as the stock markets open in the United States. Let's start with something from Bloomberg from yesterday, and a few of these initial ones are from yesterday. COVID flares in new hotspots as Americans let guard down. I like the way the blame is put on Americans generally, not on any leadership organization, such as, for example, a leading political organization like the executive branch or the CDC. Yeah, it's your fault, America. You let your guard down. From the Wall Street Journal, U.S. debt is set to exceed size of the economy next year, a first since World War II. Well, this is what happens. This is how you create money, is by going into debt. And when the petrodollar is no longer working out so well, then that money becomes increasingly worthless, or decreasingly worth something. Okay, from CNN Business, the U.S. economy needs more stimulus. Is any coming? Well, at some point, the ability to pump dollars, worthless dollars, into a system not supported by even the petrodollar anymore, becomes an activity in, shall we call it, political masturbation. It gets nothing done. It makes a mess. Nothing is getting better here. The U.S. economy is not going to get better, certainly not in the midst of a pandemic, certainly not in the midst of a mass extinction event, certainly not in the midst of abrupt irreversible climate change. I know there's a good old trick that we can use for this. Let's blame Americans. And generally, not the politicians, not the so-called leaders, the populace. From DW at DW.com, what fewer people on the planet would mean for the environment. The article goes on to explain how fewer people would be such a great thing. Really? Unaware or just unwilling to admit to the aerosol masking effect. Fewer people would mean extinction because of the reduction in industrial activity, even faster than we're going extinct now. Is that what you're pumping for? Is that what you want to have happen, DW? People. From Successful Farming at Reuters, so this is a category within Reuters, China's looming corn shortage fans food security unease, as it should. This is a major grain crop, and we're heading into the grain harvesting season in the Northern Hemisphere, and China's looming corn shortage certainly is cause for concern. And this is the first headline I've read in the corporate media about potential shortages ahead of us. And I don't think it's going to be the last one I'm going to see. And this could well be the demise of civilization, thus the demise of the aerosol masking effect, thus the demise of our species. From Yahoo Finance, United involuntarily furloughed 16,370 workers. Involuntarily? You just didn't notice? Oh, I was just walking down the street one day and a rattlesnake bit me on the leg. Wait, what? United involuntarily lays off people as if they got bit by a rattlesnake when they were walking on the street? Come on, take a little responsibility. Unbelievable. Involuntarily. I meant to feed those people, but I ran out of money to feed them. I ran out of time. I just didn't want to do it anymore. This is the corporate response to a pandemic that causes food shortages and monetary insecurity for a lot of people. Claim that it was an accident. The populace, of course, will undoubtedly go for it. From Popular Mechanics, yes, I'm actually quoting Popular Mechanics. That's a little weird. Why this monstrous crater suddenly appeared in Russia. And this is the crater I talked about in yesterday's video. And why did it appear? Methane. Methane blew the massive hole, the massive, wide, deep hole in the ground, and is an indication of methane bursts into the atmosphere. The likes of which are routinely denied by paid climate scientists. Michael Mann, can you hear me? We'll just call you the Lion Man from now on. Everybody will know who I'm talking about. From the Washington Post, FDA emergency powers could yield an early vaccine and intense backlash. Yeah, could. And pigs could fly. But I'm not looking forward to that anytime soon. From Barron's, we are witnessing a major melt-up. Why the stock market gets a little scarier each day. I mentioned this yesterday, that it gets scarier each day because it's a bubble. And melt up as opposed to melt down refers to increasing stock value over time. The melting up of the stock market means pumping up of the stock market by blowing bubbles. It's all a huge cluster bubble. Or as described in the article by Nat Alliance Securities Brenner, quote, "This has gone a lot further than I thought it would, and it will correct more than I think it probably should." Correct more? Sounds like a little bit beyond a correction to me. Sounds like somebody's coming this close to telling the truth. I've no doubt he'll disappear soon. This from the Wall Street Journal this morning. Facebook to limit political ads week before election. Label premature calls. And here's the quote from Zuckerberg in the article. Quote, "This election is not going to be business as usual. I'm worried that with our nation so divided and election results potentially taking days or even weeks to be finalized, there could be an increased risk of civil unrest across the country." Wait, the kind of civil unrest that you've been promoting since Facebook was created, since you were one of the co-founders who subsequently, we'll say, cut a deal with the other co-founders so that you got the whole thing? You think that might lead to increased divide in a divided country, causing civil unrest? Really? Really, Z-Man? You think that might happen? That's the point of your entire operation. Oh, if I were inclined to call people flaming pieces of shit, this would be a classic example. All right. What do you have to say? Nothing, as usual. Sometimes he's left speechless. Occasionally I am, but apparently not occasionally enough. So where are the markets headed today? Let's take a quick gander at that. And there you have it at 9:36 Eastern time with a 30-minute lag in the stock market opening before I get the results. The Dow Jones is now up 20 points. The broader and secondary markets are down slightly with the NASDAQ leading the way down. A bigger correction than we might have anticipated? I don't think so. I think there's a lot bigger correction to come, and by correction I mean crash. Still no comment. If it makes any sense, that's when it's time for me to quit.